Last week, our national nightmare of a closed government ended, returning us to our national nightmare of an open government. But if our nation were to take one lesson from the shutdown, which of course we won't, maybe we'd think a little more about the things we are and aren't willing to spend money on. This year, we've allotted more than $700 billion in defense spending. That's more than the government spends on education, transportation, energy, agriculture, space, justice, the environment, veterans, health and human services, commerce, homeland security, housing, the Interior, Labor, the Treasury, and the State Department combined. That is such a huge number that if you typed it into a calculator and turned it upside down, it would say, use this money to help pay for universal health care, you boobs. Gigantic military budget would be a lot easier to forgive if it were actually making us safer, but a lot of it is not. We regularly throw unimaginable sums of money at military projects that show no signs of ever being useful, like flying over football games or, invading Iraq. A more recent, egregious example is the development of the F-35 aircraft, which has gone vastly over its already enormous budget. The F-35 was supposed to be the crown jewel in the military air fleet. Actually, it would have been cheaper to make it out of actual crown jewels.
The F-35 is the most expensive weapons program in American history. According to one Pentagon report, it has a price tag of $1.4 trillion.
These planes, coming off the Lockheed Martin assembly line in Fort Worth, cost $115 million apiece.
We've actually managed to bring that down to around $89 million per plane, mostly by not ordering the cleaning kit and sturdy leatherette carrying case, but it's still pretty darn pricey. I mean, that would be a crazy amount of money, even for a plane that worked, which the F-35 does not. At a mock deployment in 2016, only 1 out of 6 F-35s could actually take off during testing. Although that could be an advantage since the enemy will never expect to see fighter jets driving toward them. Surprise! The F-35 also suffered from a radar glitch that could only be resolved by having the pilot turn the radar off and on again like a wireless router. I mean, it's okay, they're highly trained fighter pilots, so they can get through the Verizon tech support menu at 50,000 feet. Other F-35 oopsies include the jet's software, which was so hopelessly screwed up, technicians had to go off base to use commercial Wi-Fi access, download the necessary files, and burn them to CDs. So we'll be fine as long as we only invade places that are near a Starbucks with free Wi-Fi. And the F-35s also had one other teeny problem.
They catch fire, they burn and explode.
Exactly, because there's too much flammable stuff located in very poor locations. Think of this engine as a blowtorch surrounded by fuel.
A blowtorch surrounded by fuel? These things are $89 million. Hey, Air Force, give me half that money and I will sell you a much more affordable exploding plane. The engine is a fork in a microwave. So how does a country that can't afford to offer its citizens health care drop almost $500 billion on a bunch of planes that don't work? It all comes down to a sloppy circle jerk between 3 powerful groups. The Pentagon needs someone to build blammo machines that will vaporize people we hate, so they give ass loads of money to defense contractors who spread each project around as many congressional districts as possible, promising lots of fat, juicy jobs that legislators will do anything to protect. And when they all share a special hug, a crazy-ass plane that we don't need is born. This happy throuple is commonly known as political engineering. And for projects like the F-35, it's the only kind of engineering that works. Even Bernie Sanders, one of the most outspoken critics of excess military spending, felt compelled to bring home some of that sweet pork to his state.
I don't support the F-35. This is what I do support. We right now have the F-16 in Burlington. It employs hundreds of people. It provides a college education for hundreds of people. So for me, the question is not whether we have the F-35 or not. It is here. The question for me is whether it is located in Burlington, Vermont.
Who knew Vermont was such a military-industrial powerhouse? I mean, that explains Ben & Jerry's new flavor, Death by Chocolate, and drones. Unfortunately, the man best equipped to stop this nonsense is Donald Trump, and he is all in.
So amazing that we're ordering hundreds of millions of dollars worth of new airplanes for the Air Force, especially the F-35. I said, how does it do it in fights? And how do they do in fights with the F-35? He said, we do very well. You can't see it.
Okay, that sounds dumb, but he doesn't mean you literally can't see it.
You can't see it. So it's hard to fight a plane that you can't see, right?
Okay, but he means you literally can't see it on radar, not like you literally can't see it if it's right next to you.
Even if it's right next to it, it can't see it. I said, that helps. I don't know. That's a good thing.
Then Trump's aides had to get him to another event, so they pretended to throw a tennis ball the other way. Go on, go get it, champ. Aw. Like most things President Trump endorses, the F-35 has been a colossal waste of money, but it's hard to stop. If you try to actually scrutinize our military budget the way you'd scrutinize any other government expense, people say you're against the troops, which I am not. I will have you know my favorite parts of male strip shows are the military-themed parts. But if you don't trust my peacenik opinion, maybe you'll trust that of the late John McCain, who called the F-35 program a scandal, a tragedy, and disgraceful. Yes, national defense is important, and that costs money, but it's not supporting the troops to stick them into billion-dollar Ford Pintos. They deserve better, and so do the rest of us. We'll be right back.